Let's talk about cash flow, because the truth is, it doesn't matter how profitable your business is. If you suddenly find yourself having a cash flow crisis, then you may be in danger of going out of business. Now, what so many businesses do is they track things like money in the bank, or they track billing or invoicing, and they kind of know that on paper the business is really profitable. But if your customers regularly pay late, or if you suddenly receive an invoice for something big and unexpected, all of this can create a massive cash flow crisis in your business. So if you are somebody who regularly finds yourself worrying about whether you can afford to pay the bills in your business, this video is going to tell you exactly how to avoid the cash flow crisis in the future with 3 of my favourite fixes. So the first thing that you really need to do to avoid these peaks and troughs of cash flow is get red hot on your credit control. I know credit control always seems like a bit of a negative term and a stroppy thing to do, but really it's just about putting the most important fundamentals into your business and then sticking to them diligently. So credit control starts with having really good terms and conditions in place in your business and using them with every single client. Don't make those assumptions that this client is lovely. Don't wait until somebody shafts you before you actually implement some solid terms and conditions. Always make sure that your payment terms are very clear and try to keep your payment terms relatively short so you reduce the gap between doing the work and getting paid for it. And then, of course, the crucial thing is to make sure that you follow up regularly and consistently. You don't have to wait until somebody's late, particularly if you know that they are not the most reliable of payer. Give them a little reminder before the payment is due. And with anybody else, just make sure you've got a very clear, very resilient credit control process that you will follow every time. Don't wing it, don't leave it to chance, don't do it differently every single time. Just have a very clear process and stick to it. The more diligent you are with that process, the faster that you will be paid by your own customers. So terms and conditions, payment terms, credit control, one of the most important ways to make sure that the cash flows smoothly. The second tip is to create budgets and buffers. The surprise bill, which generally isn't that big a surprise, but maybe it's something like your accountancy bill or an insurance bill or an equipment bill, something like that. If you're planning ahead for your finances, then you will know this thing is coming. So there'll be no sudden shocks that send you completely off kilter. So create a budget. You can include in that budget how much you want to invest in things like marketing, because when you've got more consistent cash flow, then you've also got more money for growth. So create those budgets so that you know exactly what's coming. One of the crises I often see with people is they're worried they don't have enough money. They're worried that there isn't enough coming in, and that often leads to heads in the sand. And what I find is when you actually create a cash flow forecast, that gives you the clarity. You will know for certain, do you have enough money coming in? And if you don't, then you will know exactly how much you're short by and exactly what timescale you have to generate that added income. And then you can make a solid plan. Then you have clarity instead of just head in the sand, oblivion and ignoring it, and then it's smacking you around the chops at some point later. So that's the second point. Create budgets and buffers. So with a buffer, think about being able to set aside a particular sum of money. Ideally, you want a minimum of absolutely 1 month of overheads. Much healthier to have 3 if you can get to that point. But again, that's something that you could create a 12-month budget for, so that at the end of the 12 months, you've built that buffer into the business and created that financial resilience. And the third thing is to regularly review your overheads and suppliers. You might have some suppliers you've worked with for years. They might be the best thing since sliced bread. They might be really close friends by now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're offering you a great deal or the best service or exactly what you need for your business. I would recommend that you do a finance review, an overheads review at least once a year. What you'll find is there are some things that made complete sense to invest in last year that don't make so much sense this year. There may be maybe some subscriptions you've taken out that you don't need anymore. It might be that you've just paid over the odds for something and actually you can get a much better deal this year. Now, I would always say spend a lot more time focusing on what's coming in than what's going out, because that's the stuff that you can make the real difference to. And what you don't want to do is get so obsessed with cutting costs that you stifle your business. But you do want to be clear and certain about what you're spending and making sure that that is being wisely invested. So a costs review, an overhead review once a year is also a really good thing to do. So those are my 3 top tips. Is get red hot on your credit control, create budgets and buffers, and review your overheads regularly. Now, the other crucial thing that you have to do with all of this is be really consistent. Don't shove the financial bits to the side because you don't really like it, only for it to then bite you on the backside. The real thing you want to do to manage your cash flow is have oversight of the financials in your business on a weekly basis relentlessly. Be consistent, take responsibility, and you will not be hit by the sudden tsunami of a cash flow crisis. If this is the type of thing you really know you need help with, then get in touch with me and we can create cash flow consistency in your business. I'm at tailoring.co.uk and I'll see you there soon.